Hello and welcome to Painting with Freehand Lines. Today's subject is a gas lamp in the early evening light. This particular gas lamp is actually located in St James's Park. Typically, nighttime watercolours can be quite difficult, but I'm going to show you some really simple techniques in order to make light shine. For this painting, we will just use three colours. That is Indian yellow, cerulean blue and Payne's grey, and just a range of brushes to suit the three sizes we need: small, medium and large. And let's begin. Now, the first thing to note when painting such a thing like a lamp is that it is painted in black paint. Now, paint is a reflective material. It shines the colours around it, and in the early evening the colour of the sky tends to have a tinge of blue. This can also be mixed by the yellow of the lamp. So looking very carefully and closely at the colours are important when you actually start to paint. So what I've done here is I've started with a light wash of blue, sky blue, cerulean blue, along the length of the stanchion of the lamp. Following that, I'm taking some Indian yellow and I'm very carefully painting what appears to be almost like a ball. Rather randomly, around a circle and a bit disjointed, I'll paint this little ball, but I'll leave a white centre. The centre of the light is usually bright white, and it's only when it degrades you start to see the yellow. The shininess of the light, that lamp, the light as it reflects, will actually hit the surfaces below it and it will light up. So I've also put some yellow on the floor. This will be the pool of light that's reflected from the lamp itself. Once that's complete, I'll move on to the actual dark paint, being very careful to use quite darks on the areas that are protected from the light, i.e. where the light won't fall, and lighter darks where the light is falling. You'll see as I go through the lamp at the top, away from the light, shaded from it, I'm going for quite a dark colour. I'm also using dark colour on the supports to the visor around the lamp. These will be dark because the lamp itself will make them appear darker to the eye because of the contrast. Now you note here that as I've painted in black, I've left areas of the blue still exposed, particularly the upper side of the main support as it faces the sky and the lamp above, and then using a light wash over the main section of the pole, because that will actually reflect the light around it, so that needs to be a tad lighter. As we reach the base of the column, we will actually start to fill in those darks and lights intermittently, really picking up on this ornate decoration and the kind of shadows and reveals that happen down at the base. Once the first coat is on, I'll now get some more darks and I'll start to highlight those shadows a little bit more to give a little bit more depth and give a more three-dimensional feel to the lamp itself. Once we finish the detail, we get a larger brush and we mix a watery Payne's grey and we start to cover the background in that Payne's grey. We work from the outside in, making it lighter, bleeding it out as we get into the middle bit, and be taking care to leave a zone of white around the lamp itself and a zone of white on the ground where the light would fall. We will, as we add more and more layers, as I'm doing here, start to actually go over the lamp to blend in, and we'll even do that on the base and the top. But the reason I'm leaving this at the moment is I want to darken the background and make sure I get the right level of contrast to make the lamp look like it's actually shining. And now teasing the paint closer and closer to the lamp, making that little zone of light smaller and smaller. But before I go too close, I need to think about the light itself and how that yellow would reflect on the glass, and to some extent the air around the glass. Quite often there are things in the air that may reflect that light, so we're just starting to add a little light brush of yellow into that darkness, just a small amount, not much, and then some onto the actual lamp itself. Once we're happy with the yellow, we'll start to bring the grey back and start to do some of the shadows that would also happen on the glass and the incandescent element at the base of the lamp. Once happy with the overall composition of where the paint's going, it's time for the last few shadows, maybe at the base, to really bring out that pool of light, and maybe one or two around the lamp just to make sure that that golden glow is burning as brightly as it can, and we're close to finishing. A nighttime render is a really tough one to do, and I think it's a great tool to learn and hone your skills. So well done for taking the time to look at this lesson, and creating a great painting. It's now time to sit back and just admire what you've done, and maybe try again and mix it up a bit more, then try a bit darker, for example. Always experiment. It's always worth doing it, and always have the confidence that the next painting will be better than the last, because it will. Thank you so much for listening again, and I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Stay tuned for more.